Welcome to Base Builders, renovations you can live with. Get it? Live with? Because undead. That was a joke, you missed it, moving on. Today we'll be taking a random abandoned building in Rosewood and completely flipping it before the snow flies. I want to do it all. Fences, gardens, rooms, everything you need to have a perfect base. To complete this challenge, I'm going to rely on the carpentry profession. My first task was to actually locate the building. And after driving around town for a bit, I found my new base. And let me tell you, my work was cut out for me. The main floor was a treasure trove of trash piles, and the upstairs was an actual jungle. Half the roof was missing, there was so much dirt on the walls, but I had a plan. I decided to make the entire lower level storage, and maybe in the future that large room with the white windows will turn into a garage, but for the upper floor I wanted to try and create one large living space. The rooms that are already established will stay, so I'll be adding the new rooms to the jungle portion of the building. I'm going to add a walk-in pantry, a kitchen and dining room. The space at the end will be a breakfast nook, and then we've got a dressing room for some clothes storage with some stairs behind it. And then the large vacant spot will be the living room. Something like this. But before we can do any of that, I first have to clean up this trash. And for some reason, I forgot abandoned means no power. So I'm gonna have to find a generator sooner than I thought. As for this garbage, one man's trash is another man's trash. This is not my problem anymore. I removed some of the boards, pulled some grass, and then it was time for a snack. I grabbed a sausage, which took way too long to cook in the microwave, but since that's all I have available, that will have to do. This thing is gonna be so flippin' dry and crispy. It's been in here for ages. After grabbing a bite to eat, I decided to head out and see if I could start collecting some tools and maybe a generator. What? And this is where everything changed. What are you doing here? There is no way you should be here. Are you dead? Please be dead. Well, you don't have anything I actually need. A watch would have been nice. Obviously, he came out this window, but I wonder if there's any more of them inside. What was that? Okay, go. Let's check this place quick. Nothing good. Oh no. My heart rate. Guys, run. Wait, if I leave him, then I'm just gonna have to deal with him later. I know this is going to trash the truck, but I don't care. I'm not getting out. There we go. One more just to be safe. So now we have a problem. Are there more of them out there? I'm second guessing all of my settings right now. The original plan was to take until the first snowfall to renovate the base. But in light of this recent discovery and not knowing if there were any more out there, I decided to only take 30 days. With no way of knowing if I would come across more zombies, I decided to quickly canvass the area before nightfall. I really needed a generator, because if I have to sleep in that abandoned building, I need to be able to see. Now at this point, I also did not have a bed in my new base, so I was gonna have to spend the night in the truck. With all of the doors locked, of course. On day 2, I found a generator. I also continued to clean the trash and the grass out of the base. Wait, I did actually work. Thank you. I still had no bed, so it was another night in the truck for me. I've been lucky so far. Sleeping in the truck hasn't caused too much discomfort, but I need to get a bed. I should have done this on day 1. The bed is right next door. I chose this windowless room as my new bedroom, but the bed was having none of that. At the time, I didn't know why, but now I can see the grass peeking from under the bed. I was gonna need to spend more time looking for a flashlight in order to realize this. Did I do that, though? No. Instead, I went for a drive and discovered something interesting. Another body. I hung back for a few seconds just to make sure that it was not a zombie. And my patience paid off because I found a watch. I also found a flashlight buried in my bag. I'm not a hoarder. So I spent the rest of the afternoon collecting an extremely important item. When I got home that evening, I installed a floor and finally set up a bed. Just in time to sleep. The next couple of days consisted of cleaning the base and running around looking for tools, materials for the base. I did take a trip to Mildra to see if the warehouse had some paint and anything that might help eliminate these metal wall frames. Unfortunately, there was no sledgehammer. The next day I headed back to Mildra to spend some time absorbing all the information I could through VHS. This took up the entire day, so I opted to spend the night in Mildra and see if I could take anything home with me tomorrow. Except I chose the worst possible place you could find to park for the night. Yep, right there, in the middle of the road. Why, you ask? That is a good question that I do not have an answer for, but at the time, it seemed like a good idea. After that stressful night, I made a stop at the bookshop to see if I could grab something to take home with me. I also had to grab another very important item for the base. And even though it was still pitch black in my base, it was much better than sleeping in the truck. I spent day 8 doing more cleaning. Unfortunately, no matter how hard I scrubbed, I could not remove the graffiti, so T-Boys will be staying. I scrubbed the bathroom, the library, and the entrance. The next day started with some light reading of maintenance book, by flashlight of course, because I was struggling to find a generator hookup manual. I decided to just read until sunrise, since I spent all of yesterday cleaning. Because I could not seem to find any way to hook up the generator by finding a manual, I resigned myself to the fact that I would need to level my electric skill. And fast. The power was not going to stay on forever. While I was out, I found this carpet, which I used to cover the trash can that refused to be moved. And over the next few days, I painted the walls and continued to destroy any electronics. Because I was getting close to level 3 electrical, which meant I could finally set up a generator. Let's fill it up. I'm so excited. Okay, we'll turn it on. Now, do the lights work? Yay! I found a sink for the bathroom, expanding my to-do list to include plumbing that in. And after living with the paint job I did earlier, I decided to swap to blue. If it hasn't become apparently obvious at this point, I 100% have my priorities straight. One of my best ideas from the last few days was the fact that I can now cover T-Boys with some bookshelves. If only they would stop breaking every time I try to pick them up. This was window day. I spent the entirety of day 12 driving around collecting whitewood windows. Even though there is no roof, at least there will be no drafts, right? After almost 2 weeks, I still haven't managed to figure out how to get rid of these metal frames. I think dedicating some time to finding a sledgehammer would be a good idea, but I was going to find out that sledgehammers are an elusive creature. I was just now realizing that I'm almost halfway through my 30 days, and I really have done nothing except clean and hook up a generator. So I decided to get one room done at a time. Obviously, I could collect small pieces later on to finish off each room, but the basic furniture had to be in its place ASAP. And this is where the reasoning behind my zombie-free runs becomes apparent. Oh, I fell off the stairs. That took a lot of health. I'm gonna sit down for a bit. And that was not the end of my clumsiness, because over the course of the next couple weeks, I tried to end it all numerous times. I do not need the zombies' help to die. I added some nice furniture and paint to the bedroom. Purple, obviously. And then began the painful task of installing a floor and ceiling. I continued like this over the next few days. With the power already off, I wanted to make sure that I could have rain barrels set up for water, and soon. Day 16 started with some anxiety for no apparent reason. Maybe I have been overthinking the completion of this base, or I have had too many car crashes of late. Either way, I had a snack, I did some light reading, and then I headed back to bed around 4 a.m. Just to get up a couple hours later and get right back to work finishing the floors and starting on wall frames. I also managed to get my hands on a new vehicle that was not totaled, which you already know is about to change. However, this delivery truck will allow me to carry more planks home in one trip. And finally, before bed, I had to check and make sure that there was nothing hiding in the shadows. Day 17 and 18 saw me gain an actual layout and a staircase, which means I can finally finish the roof. Up until this point, I have been scrounging around for food, gathering some veggies from abandoned gardens, or grabbing an occasional steak, sausage here and there. It was now time to take food and food storage more seriously, so I spent some time collecting freezers. And then it was back to building and scrubbing. Day 21, and I was really pushing myself to complete these projects. I finished up the roof, and worked on installing some more walls. The rooms were coming together, and it was really starting to feel like a home now. I did need a little break though, so I went out and collected some decor items to try and make it feel cozy. The next day was all about floors, and while I was installing the floors, I started thinking about how I should have made this a one-week challenge, given that I had saved all of the important jobs for the last week. Think this looks nice? I also took a little jaunt down to Muldra. I needed to get my hands on some plaster, and I was still searching for the elusive sledgehammer. And then my clumsiness caught up with me yet again. My delivery truck was done. Luckily, my final crash was close to a replacement. Now I just hoped that this van would be able to pull all this weight. Back in business. I was starting to suffer the consequences of cramming all my major projects into the last week. I still needed a sledgehammer, and with no luck in Rosewood or Muldra, I now had to check more distant lands. I headed up the road to Ekron to check the railroad and ended up finding this infested building. This is uncomfortable. I just want to leave. I checked the railroad and the train. I checked the fire station. I even checked the steel yard. I did not find a sledgehammer, and I had wasted an entire day. After crashing another vehicle, I managed to find a truck at a fruit stand, and I made my way home. The last few days were a blur. I still had to install furniture in every room, and some of that would require me to travel to find the perfect pieces. I fitted a kitchen first, as that was a must in the base. And in between placing decor items, I found some time to plaster. I finished furnishing the kitchen and dining room and started to create a library. I had a specific set chosen out for the library seating, and that meant I had to drive all the way out to Riverside to get it. And I ended the day by putting up some wall frames to create a rooftop entrance. My second last day consisted of finishing up the rooftop entrance. I also found some outdoor planters that I'd collected earlier that month buried in a truck. I ended the day with a rest, knowing that I just had a couple of items to check off my list. My last day, I woke up early to get a head start on the last couple of items, starting with a roof on the entrance. And there was a car graveyard to clean up, so I parked them all in a nice neat row. And then the last thing I needed to finish up was adding fuel to the generator. I also did some strange little tricks with the gas can. And I wound down the day by watching the sunset from my new base's rooftop. 30 days probably seems like a lot of time to build a base. And maybe it is. I wasn't able to complete everything I wanted to with this base, but it functions. And our little scare at the beginning of the month was just that, a little scare. I only encountered the one zombie, but the possibility of meeting more along the way was motivation enough to see this project to completion. I don't think I could have finished this project without the help of my carpenter profession. Yes, electrician would have been nice, I could have hooked up the generator a lot sooner, but I desperately needed stairs in this base, and it requires level 6 carpentry. I made you all a quick mock-up of my vision for this place. Overall, I enjoyed this build. I would highly recommend you try a similar challenge in your next run. And for those of you who are upset about the low zombie population, don't worry, I have plenty of adventures with undead to come. If you want more content like this, check out this video next. And if you want to see something else, try this one.